What if Superman's villains decided to depart from being an enemy to the Man of Steel and went to other heroes around the DC universe? And you can use your own headcanons to how this would happen. Clark has retired, or he's died, stopped being Superman for whatever reason, or maybe even his villains got bored of him and decided to try out new challenges against other DC heroes to test them in combat and ability. I think I've done a similar video to this with Batman, but of course with Superman being a little more popular right now, we needed to do his version of it. So I have 8 different Superman villains and 8 different matchups. Let's get right into the first one. Doing the easiest choice to begin with, it's Lex Luthor versus Batman. This is a matchup that everyone already knows about. We've seen it before in different DC media. It is fascinating because it's no regular brain versus brain matchup. Both of these characters are billionaire geniuses who of course have different moral outlooks, but they're no ordinary geniuses. They're 2 of the smartest human beings on Earth. With their intellectual respect that they may have for one another, the battle could go much farther than just physical combat. It would basically be a game of chess. Everything around them would be inflicted. People that they know or care about, their companies, their cities. The game would be so intense and so competitive that even Magnus Carlsen would not be able to keep up. I see it in a way where Lex could try and encroach on Gotham territories. He would maybe start a little slow, starting around the outskirts, but eventually dive right into the city. I think he would try to remodel Gotham in his image. He would basically come in as a savior. Look how I've built Metropolis. Wayne Enterprises hasn't been doing anything to help Gotham grow and look better. This city is still just strung up with all types of crime. I can do what Wayne has not done. Within that, he's trying to remove Wayne Enterprises and Batman as well. But within his removal, he's also trying to retain as many secrets of Bruce Wayne Batman as he can. Batman, Bruce Wayne would be trying to do the same thing against Lex Luthor. And where the battle would get interesting is Lex is what you see is what you get, basically. He doesn't necessarily have an alter ego. He doesn't have a masked villainous presence that he could dress up as and pretend to be someone else. Batman would need to play both roles. He would need to protect Gotham in the ways Batman would, but he would also need to retain his family line and his company as Bruce Wayne during the day. It would keep Bruce quite busy. And before we move on, just an honorable mention I'd like to add, Toyman I think would also be a really great option for Batman. Then I have Doomsday versus Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman would be one of the few DC heroes and even League members who would be able to handle Doomsday outside of Superman. Look, I understand that when we take heroes and we pit them up against villains, very often people want to see the hero win, or we know that the hero has to win. But in all honesty, Doomsday is no ordinary character. He is someone who has killed Superman, and killing Superman in a lot of ways should almost feel impossible. So I don't believe Wonder Woman would be able to go up against Doomsday through brute strength at a prolonged period that Superman would. However, where she could get the matchup to play a little more to her strengths is who she is as a warrior and seeing this battle through more of a tactical lens. Doomsday could potentially find his way into Themyscira, annihilating the Amazonian women, and Wonder Woman would need to return before it goes too far. That's the whole point about Doomsday. He sets his eyes on something he needs to destroy, and once he's on Earth, he needs to destroy Earth, eventually leading him to this golden magical place in the world that has never seen the destruction that he can deliver. This would be one of the greatest tests Wonder Woman would ever have to go up against, especially with the fact that it is threatening her homeland. We've seen Wonder Woman before fight Doomsday. She's got experience doing it, and she can handle it. But I do also think that Doomsday could be an interesting enough villain for Wonder Woman on multiple occasions. Then I have Brainiac versus Green Lantern. This is offering space warfare, which, at least from my opinion, that's what I really like to see from the Green Lanterns. Obviously, you enjoy seeing Green Lantern on Earth when it's in a Justice League setting, but they are our sci-fi window into space look at DC characters. We need more of that from them. And Brainiac, in my opinion, is almost a no-brainer for the Green Lantern Corps. He's the exact type of threat that the Guardians and the Lanterns would have their eyes on and would probably be monitoring on a regular basis. Brainiac's obsession with knowledge and control could lead him straight to Oa and many other places in which the Guardians safeguard their knowledge. There's nothing more than knowledge that Brainiac likes. If he can get his hands on something that the Guardians know, you can bet that he is going to go to all stops to get it. But Brainiac could be bottling cities in Green Lantern protected sectors, along with finding a way to recruit the Manhunters to his cause, or even modifying lantern rings to operate in his image. There are so many things that Brainiac could manipulate or control or do to simply get the attention of the Lantern Corps and the Guardians of the Universe. Potentially recruiting Manhunters to his cause would be deadly enough already, but it's his potential to do more than what is thought to be possible that would be interesting here. Next one we're looking at here is Parasite versus Martian Manhunter. With a lot of experience draining the power from an alien in Superman, abilities would be doubled with Martian Manhunter, especially when you add shape-shifting and telepathy. Parasite needs constant sustenance, and maybe in this instance, Superman just doesn't cut it anymore, while looking for something possibly more exotic, and that would be Martian Manhunter. I think giving shape-shifting and telepathy to someone like Parasite would be insane now, because this character has just become far more dangerous. But at the same time, Parasite can be very unstable, and too much power causes a lot of instability. Imagine adding these types of powers that maybe he's never experienced before from a more rare, unique type alien in Martian Manhunter. I think Jean would need to use his own weaknesses on himself, which would mean inflicting that same pain onto Parasite. He could even hope that the trauma he suffered in his life on Mars would be so deeply scarred into maybe his DNA and his powers that seeped into Parasite, it would be enough to stop him. Whereas Parasite is maybe a very powerful being, very strong. He's not the smartest character out there, and Jean is. So he would be able to take him down eventually. Now we have Mixie Spitlick versus Flash. Superman has become boring and wants to annoy someone who can control and change the fabric of time or timelines like the Speed Force. Mixie battles with trickery, and the Flash could respond the same way by using his speed intelligence to do things like throw him into time loops or even find a way to run to the fifth dimension, if possible. The battle or battles that could take place with these two characters could be in many different time periods or even altered timelines. He could want the Speed Force, or to at least exist within it, while demanding the Flash to serve his needs. And the way I see it is Mixie likes to toy with people like a Superman who happens to be very powerful. Why not just go one step down, or some people might even say one step up, and go over to the Flash, who is capable of altering anything, history, universe, timeline, dimension. Next up, unlike the honorable mention towards Batman, we do have an actual matchup of Toyman versus Cyborg. And this is a big reason why I didn't do Toyman versus Batman. This matchup would probably see Toyman enter a completely different stage of intelligence and threat, becoming someone who could be extremely dangerous. Not saying that he isn't already, but even more so now. I think he would attempt to find a way way to hack into Cyborg so he can create brand new and all-powerful toys utilizing Cyborg's AI capabilities and even the power of the mother box, especially if your version of Cyborg is that origin. That right there, as I said, gives Toyman the potential to become a very serious and dangerous threat to many characters rather than just one. He could evolve his intelligence tenfold. He could also puppet Cyborg and treat him as the toy, overriding anything and everything, giving him full and complete control on personality, ability, power, and more. The powers and the abilities that Cyborg gives could honestly make Toyman feel like a kid in a candy shop, or in his case, a toy shop. And just to add on to this as well, I was even thinking you could do something where E is the one who creates the canon world's version of Grid. Now, instead of coming from Earth 3, you have a Grid that was created on Earth 1, or Prime Earth, whatever you want to call it. Now, this one's a little different considering I'm going to give you a villain and more so an anti-villain. Somebody who is not a villain to be a villain, but a villain to protect their people. You have General Zod versus Black Adam. These are two extremely powerful, almost dictator type leaders who would not rest to keep their civilizations intact. You got Zod, who would do anything to preserve and resurrect the life and world of the Kryptonians. But then you have Black Adam, who would literally create another world war if it meant that Kahndaq would be the only city left standing. Zod could maybe want his dominion of New Krypton to lie over Kahndaq, and maybe for a very specific reason. He could perhaps see that the magical powers that Black Adam holds, wanting them for himself, or maybe even feeling a magical connection through Kahndaq and wanting to share that with Kryptonian people. And I understand that magic and Kryptonians don't really blend all that well, but imagine what you could do if you found a way to give a Kryptonian the power of the sun and to mingle with magic properly. That character would be unstoppable. Mentioning weakness to magic, even though General Zod would share that weakness, this matchup would be utter chaos, pure destruction, especially with their similar mindsets, how unrelenting both of them are. And it's interesting too, because now you have more or less two villains who are trying to do horrible things for a very good reason for their people. And now it's like, who do you root for? Who is the lesser of two evils? Now, the last matchup for this video, but certainly not least, considering how many Superman villains are out there and how many DC heroes they could inherit, I decided to go with Metallo versus Blue Beetle. What if Metallo removed the kryptonite as the source of his powers, and he instead came across a stranded scarab and inserted it within his chest? Now, within his extremely powerful metal exoskeleton, he would also be able to utilize the powers of the scarab, mimicking all of Blue Beetle's powers. You could make it so that Metallo is a long-term host of the scarab, and now the future of the character changes with these new reach abilities. Or you could do something where he is stripped of the scarab because of potentially a past history of Krypton and the Reach. Maybe when the scarab attaches itself to Metallo, over time it scans remnants of kryptonite property surrounding his chest and maybe even the metal body. Perhaps ancient Kryptonians and the Reach were enemies, so now the scarab departs from Metallo, wanting nothing to do with him. And now, pissed, Metallo would try to regain the scarab and dominate it, or he would take out his revenge on Blue Beetle, essentially saying, if I can't have it, no one can. Or maybe I'll take your scarab and make it work for me no matter what. And especially someone like Metallo, he'll do whatever he can to get his revenge. So there it is, some of Superman's villains I decided to give to other DC heroes. As I said, some of these have already happened before in movies, comic books, animation, you name it. But I want you guys to let me know in the comments below which of these matchups you really liked, and maybe give me some of yours, characters that I didn't mention here that would be a really good matchup. That is all I have for you on this video, everyone. I do hope you all enjoyed it, and until the next time, I will talk to you all very soon.